Yes, love's a secret weapon. Yeah!
Welcome back to Love's a Secret Weapon podcast with Dr. Adam from Adelaide, Australia, and little old me from the United States of America, and my dear friend, Maurice Gainen in Silverlake, which is just east of Hollywood for everyone's perspective. Hi, Maurice. Hi, Dr. Adam. Welcome.
Hi. Hi,
Hello.
Donna. Great to see you. Hi, Adam. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you, and nice to meet you. And everyone watching this on video as opposed to audio can also see Lucy, who they usually hear in the background of the audio
Oh,
when she wants to walk.
I have to
or
tell
treat
you,
or...
I have to tell you that there's a kind of a canine friend that was named Bark Ruffalo recently, and that can be Lucy's, kind of friend in the ethers for the podcast. Hello, Lucy.
Hey,
I like that Bark Ruffalo. That's good.
that's very cute. Well, we were going to lead in by actually starting with an interesting story about another kind of canine-y, type name in terms of Bob Barker. So you have a bit of you have a little bit of a that's a long segue in.
Pun intended, right?
And it's live. We can't, we can't edit that out. But tell us about your Bob Barker experience to sort of start as a way of telling our listeners about, your sort of entry into music, I guess.
Right. Well, I believe it was 7th grade, maybe 8th grade. A great gifted music teacher at Dana Junior High School in San Pedro threw together 6 of, I guess, what he thought were the best players, and made a little Dixieland band. And I think there were 6 of us. There's 2 trumpets, a trombone, a clarinet, a piano, a drums, and a bass. Female bass player, female piano player. And, we used to rehearse, and then we used to go around to this, I guess there's this New Orleans jazz club of Southern California. They used to have all these different music. We'd go do these little gigs and stuff and play at assemblies and get our feet wet. And then we got somehow, they got us on, I think it was the Truth or Consequences, where it was like trying to figure out who the real band is or something like this. They had some gimmick. And we went, we did it. It was a big thrill for a bunch of young kids. And each of us got a $50 gift certificate from Sears Roebuck catalog. and I bought my first tape recorder, and it was 7-inch reel to reel. And I think it was stereo. And I recorded some stuff on it. I mean, I recorded some albums onto it, or borrowed albums from friends. And, I think I tried some recording experiments on it, early recording experiments on that. I can kind of picture it. Yeah. And I had it for a long time.
How fantastic. You don't have it anymore though, unfortunately.
No, but I have a lot of old gear if anyone wants it, because I just moved from my old studio and over 30 years worth of technology, most of it not being used. And pretty much what you see behind you is all that I brought over here,
Wonderful.
It's like these days it's like Beck says, 2 turntables and a microphone.
Microphone. Yep.
Yeah. Basically I've got a computer, a couple of monitors, a few preamps, everything's inside the computer.
And that allows you to pretty much do everything you need to do now. Yeah.
Do everything.
And tell us, given we've got go on, Donna.
I was going to say, Maurice, what you didn't tell us is which instrument you played in your Dixieland band.
Oh, good question. That's back when I was a trumpet player.
Oh, trumpet. Okay.
That was my first instrument.
Right.
And now I'm a sax and flute player. And the way I became a trumpet player was when we were in 3rd grade, they took us to look at the orchestra, and the school orchestra play, and they say, pick an instrument, right?
Yeah.
And so I saw the cello, and I loved the cello. but I was
Hmm.
walking a mile to school, so that was out of the question. I
Good thing
saw
it
the
wasn't a
sax.
piano.
Well, wait, we already had the piano that
Okay.
we might talk about,
Hmm.
but and I saw the saxophone. I go, oh man, too many buttons. Forget about it. And I saw the trumpet with 3 buttons, and I go, that's
can
for
do
me.
that.
I'm
There
in.
you go.
Little did I know you have to get all the other notes with your chops, which makes it very difficult. And
And
I actually
so,
got pretty, yeah.
oh,
Go ahead.
so I remember you telling me quite a while back that you spent some time in Israel with your family,
Right.
and you were like close to adolescence, maybe what, 12 or
Oh.
so?
11th and 12th grade.
Okay, so maybe like 16, 17, and
Mhm.
that your
17, yeah.
father somehow in Paris, there was an instrument that
Yeah.
was gifted to you. Would you
No,
share that story?
yeah, actually, yes. When I was living, when we were living there, we were like, my dad was on a foreign contract, so we could buy stuff duty free. So
Mm.
basically, we ordered this saxophone, top of the line Selmer saxophone, and my dad advanced me the money, and
Oh.
and I got that horn. You know, we ordered it from Paris, and I paid him back from doing gigs over there while I was still in high school, and I'm still playing that horn. That's the only only horn that that's the only tenor sax that I play.
So
And
that was the
someone
horn that you used on Merry Christmas Baby.
for everything,
Oh, wow.
everything since 1971.
And so
And the
we're
other,
going to take a brief interlude and
okay,
play part of
look
that
at-
so we can hear your wonderful, wonderful
Oh.
sax rendition.
great, sounds good.
And okay, go on.
So just the other day, I was playing a rehearsal with somebody, I can't remember who, and they said they were looking at the horn, another horn, and they said, "Wow, I've never seen one of those that the original owner was playing."
And then
Because it's
also, I recall that you said you thought it was going to be in the gold tone, but it came out different.
oh gosh, you remember? Oh my gosh, good memory. No, I thought I ordered it gold with silver keys.
Mm.
Mhm.
And it came all silver, and I was like, I was like, oh, they got the wrong thing, I was kind of gripey about it, and it turns out that actually that was a rare horn. They did not
Yeah.
export them like that to the United States. So when I came back to the United States in 1972, right after that, and people saw that horn, and they're just like, oh my God, a silver Mark 6
Yeah.
tenor, it was like, ooh, big deal. Now there's more of them, but
But back then, amazing.
kind of good memory, Donna. My gosh.
I love
Boy.
I love the stories that we've shared through the years.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Well, why don't we
Wow.
tell the listeners a little bit about that? Because you referenced Merry Christmas Baby. So when did the two of you meet?
Gosh, it was through, actually, I'm going to start. Okay, Maurice.
Yeah, please, because I kind of I reached back to my memory bank, and I threw out a date yesterday, but I'm not quite sure.
Okay, and I may need help on a name, because I remember going to Air One Market in West Hollywood, and in Air One in West Hollywood, there's a special bar for nutritional health drinks, and there was a young man sitting next to me and my daughter, who we were all ordering cacao drinks with different herbs to stimulate our energy and so forth. I think to put the jing back into our lives.
Right.
And the young man sitting next to me said, well, I'm making a certain cacao with a combination of this and that and whatever herbs to boost the jing. And do you recall his name?
Yes, Thru Saber.
Thru Saber. And it turned out Thru is the catalyst, who said, well, and we talked about music, and he said, well, my friend Maurice has a studio. And that, that is what propelled me to contact you. And led to basically doing an album with you, first starting with Thru playing guitar and
Right.
doing a different version of It Only Hurts When I Cry.
Right.
And then that evolved into this amazing relationship. And if you don't mind, I'm gonna just hop into this because Adam, this was remarkable. It was back in like 2008, 9, something like that, in the good old Obama days. It was in the kind of revolutionary time a little bit, where I was in Hawaii and Maurice is in Los Angeles, or in Silverlake, which is Los Angeles, and we developed a way to record over Skype. If I couldn't come into LA, Maurice would be in LA, I would be in Hawaii, and we would Skype. And I think that was pretty early on in those days when people were doing remote.
It was early remote recording, yes.
And it turned out really well. It was amazing that the distance didn't prevent us from any kind of intimate communication.
Yeah.
To be able to convey our thoughts and create something together with other musicians, which I keep going back to, Maurice, in terms of all the technology, and since the pandemic, that the internet has been our way of creating that intimacy, just like now between you and Adam and myself, we can all be together. And then my dear husband, Jared, is not far from us. So, and little Lucy. So we can all stay connected, which, that's my dream come true.
Yeah.
So, and then just an adjacent story. There was a man in Hawaii called Charles Brotman, who had his studio in Waimea on Big Island, and that's where I was living. And of all things, Maurice's sister, one of his sisters, had a home not far from where I was living, maybe I don't know, stone's throw. And so Maurice came over and visited, and I invited Charles, whom they had met over Skype but not in person. And so we all got together at my place, the Mauna Kea, and met I thought that was remarkable. I mean, talk about synchronicity, snap your fingers and a miracle happens.
That was a beautiful time in Hawaii. It was just great.
And
is your sister still there?
She's not. She actually, she's living in, I just talked to her. She's living in Northern California with my sister.
Oh, wow. That's a big change. Okay.
But it's all good. So everything's
all
good.
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that was then, this is now. And oh my gosh, here we are. I feel like, what is it, 15 years ago already?
Something like that. I wrote down 2010, but then I was thinking, when you mentioned Jing, so it must have been a little bit before, like you said, 2009, 2008. Yeah. And I don't remember what year we were in Hawaii.
But soon after, I would say, soon after, because it was fresh. And just for the record, on our podcast, Dr. Adam and I have spoken about when we first met. And that was also through Hawaii. And early on, I mean, Adam and I have known each other for, more than 20 years?
Yeah, it would be probably, 20, 21 years, something like that. Yeah.
So sweet relationships. So now let me just zoom right into the when I met you, you were still involved in doing compilations for Starbucks.
I was. That was a great gig. That was just so cool.
I mean, and can you tell our listeners, some of the artists that you included in these composites?
Yes, actually, I have a bunch up on my thing here. They were Sheryl Crow. There was this thing that they called artist choice, where they'd get an artist to pick their, like, desert island disc type of thing, like your 15 favorite songs. So I'll just read the ones that are up here.
Yeah.
Sheryl Crow, Norah Jones, Joni Mitchell, Diana Krall, Willie Nelson, Emmylou Harris. Now, I wouldn't have any contact with them directly. It's all through the record companies. The songs would get selected and licensed, and then they would send me the best digital version of the songs, and then I would put them all together and try and make them all sound good together. And that's the last thing that happens before it becomes a CD. Then they had other compilations which were more like sort of greatest hits type stuff, or essential or whatever. And some of those, again, I'm just reading off. I pulled some of my favorites. You know, I don't have as much room on this wall as I did on, or I didn't want to take up as much wall space as I did at the old studio. So all I have here is Marvin Gaye, John Lennon, John Coltrane, Jimi Hendrix, Miles Davis, and Joni Mitchell.
That sounds like your J category.
Good point. And
Without
actually,
realizing,
there was one interesting bit of feedback I did get indirectly from the Joni Mitchell camp. Was, and I can't remember what year it was, but when we did the Joni Mitchell best of, she's told the record company, she said, depending on how I feel after I hear this compilation done, is going to help me decide if I want to continue doing music or not.
Wow.
And I'm going, whoa. And guess what? She continued doing music. So I didn't mess it up for her.
Good job. Good job, Maurice. I wouldn't have any doubt in your ability. So how many of these compilations have you your name on?
I did 187.
Wowza. Wow.
So it's kind of like every time somebody would go to Whole Foods or someplace like that, or Starbucks.
There'd be, when we were in the middle of it, it was, you know, there'd be several, you know, on their thing that I had done. And if I'm with my sisters, they'd be going, my brother did that, you know, that kind of stuff. Please give me a break. And the other thing that we did was when I would complete one, I would send it to a company called PlayNet up in Washington. And PlayNet would put them together for the in-store music, you know, and so you know, they would compile the compilation. So then everything that you went in, that you heard in Starbucks, was a lot of it was stuff that I had done, sent to them, and then they put it together. Yeah.
So you stimulated the choice of beverage.
Yes.
Well, that's a thing, you know, like when they put on Christmas music so that you feel a certain way, and they pipe candles in at that time of year that, you know, put you in the mood to shop. Yeah, but I'm glad the kind of artists you worked with, I think that sounds okay. I'm okay with that.
I'll stick with Starbucks and just give me some added whipped cream. I love that music.
Yes. The Christmas ones were special. Normally, well, I shouldn't give out actual figures, but basically the Christmas ones, they would sell 6 times as many as the regular ones.
Well, and you know, I mean, it is a gift giving time of year.
Yeah,
so.
But they would also get 2 special songs, new versions of Christmas songs by some super famous people to put on the compilation. And so they would get the rights to use it for a year and a half. And then after that, the artists could use it themselves.
Right.
Okay. So for our benefit, since we're going to play Merry Christmas Baby totally outside of the holiday season, tell us maybe 1 or 2 songs that were those special editions.
Well, I have a good tie-in here right now. So I got the list for Christmas songs. And the first one on it was a song called Peace. And I'm going, and it was Norah Jones. And I'm going, oh, that's interesting. You know, I know a song called Peace by Horace Silver, but can't be the same thing. Doesn't have lyrics. So then I finally, after about a week, I get around to starting work on it, put it on. I said, oh my gosh, it's Norah Jones singing Horace Silver's melody of Peace.
How obscure.
And it was gorgeous. And it was the first time anybody ever heard it, you know. And as a result of that, on my CD that I'm releasing in about 5 weeks, I actually sang a version.
Oh my
And
my.
Oh,
and I already did a video and posted it.
Oh
So
my.
so there's a and it's more or less Nora's version, but in my
yeah.
key. But
Mm.
I
I love it.
did my own orchestration. I mean, I with two special musicians, friends of mine, we created a very, I would say, unusual orchestration. And plus, I play a soprano sax solo on
Oh, beautiful.
Wow. And
I
is that all
love
it.
done
your
in your
Yeah.
studio
singing.
here, which is
So
behind us?
what?
Is that all done in your studio behind us?
Um, that that's a good question.
Mm.
My my vocal, the answer is no. My vocal and my saxophone, the mixing and the mastering were done here. The
Mm.
guitar player who does all the textures, he's in Dallas,
Mhm.
and the keyboard player is on the other side of Silverlake.
Mm.
And so he did his orchestrations there, and the guitar player did theirs in Dallas, and then I pulled it all together.
Again,
Here we
just
go
the
again.
power of being able to do this. Because to
Yeah.
go just while we're talking about this, to go back to when you were recording with Donna, when you did Love It Away and Merry Christmas Baby,
Yes.
how did you
Yeah.
get, because there were quite a few musicians involved in that,
Yeah.
some big hitters. How did that all
Yeah.
work? How did you get them all together on the record?
I think, well, at that time we had some people came to my studio,
Mm.
right, Donna? Like
Yes,
most of the
absolutely.
yeah. And is that the one
Oh
we
my
had? We
gosh.
had Bob Glob and Carol
And
Kay.
Carol Kay. Oh my gosh. I
When,
can't believe she climbed. She was 74 years old, schlepping her bass and she
and,
climbed
and
all those stairs up to your
yeah,
studio and what a great sport. Oh, and
she was
phenomenal
great,
music.
and it
And
was incredible because as soon as she started playing, because she was in the other room, right? And so as soon as she started playing, I'm going, oh my God, I know that sound. That's Carol Kay. My goodness, you just heard it a million times and just, whoa. And it was right there in the other room. It was really great.
she's
It was a
still
great
rocking, by
day.
the way.
Mm.
She's
Good for
still
her.
rocking. Yeah,
She was
yeah.
portrayed in the Elvis movie.
Oh,
All right.
They did it. Yeah. That recent Elvis movie a couple years ago.
yes,
She was
yes.
portrayed in that. Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm such an Elvis fan that I've had a hard time breaking down and watching it. It's like I
Yeah.
want a real
They
thing.
want the real thing.
Yeah, but for maybe I can like find her her portrayal.
She's not actually there. It's a younger actress playing her part.
Right. Yeah. But I
Yeah.
mean, what she had to contend with, being the only female in a world of, dominated by male musicians.
In the Wrecking Crew, yeah.
Yep. Wrecking Crew.
But
Yep.
they could not wreck her. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah. Yeah.
At any rate, yes. And which leads into this long distance music making that you're doing, which is world music.
Yes.
My
Yes.
gosh. And it's gorgeous.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
I mean, what have you done? Like 7 or 8 albums now?
This is my 11th.
Oh, I
11.
lost track. I am so
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah, and tell our
We
listeners
had-
what sort of music is when we think of world, what is world, and what's your approach on that?
Well, first of all, my approach is, there's a lot of, how do I, these days, when I started, no one was talking about this kind of thing. But, these days, a lot of people talk about appropriation, you're stealing from indigenous peoples and da da da. It's like, I actually wrote on one of my CDs way back, like I don't claim to have any special knowledge about this stuff. I actually wrote, absolutely no ethnomusicologists were injured in the making of this CD, and basically I just do my take on it, but I try to interact. It started on my 3rd CD, where it's called 7 Continents Global Jams, and I said, okay, let's do an album and get someone on every continent to contribute to a song. So that's how it started. And now I have
what year was that?
Probably I'd have to look it up on, I've been doing them roughly every 2 years, so maybe 15 years ago ish,
Yeah.
something
Yeah,
like that.
that's what I'm getting at. So, because so much of this global music is coming out through the time of the pandemic when everyone was isolated. So,
Right.
but you anticipated, but the thing is, I do recall that you have a special relationship with the young lady in Africa.
Yeah.
I mean, you're a happily married man, and June is your wife, and I adore her.
Yeah.
And who I'm talking about, please explain.
Okay, there's a young lady. Her name is Immaculate Awino, and I first met her through music, and as a singer, and early on, and she proved, through just through doing projects and doing things for me and organizing stuff to be very worthy. So, me and my family, we helped her through. She's poor, like, she comes from a very poor, humble family in Kenya, and so we helped her through actually sort of their equivalent of the USC Film School. There, she managed to get in. Managed to get in. She completed that in 3 years, and then she worked in the TV world a little bit, and I referred her for some jobs for some people that were going over there, and she did that. And then she at one point she said, I want to go to law school, and I'm going, yeah, right, whatever, and and then she got busy with stuff, and I didn't hear anything of it. And I think 2 years later she came in and said, I'm going to law school now. And to make a long story short, and without kind of too much, but basically I supported her through that. And now she got through 4 years of law school. She went an extra year for bar. She just recently completed a 6-month internship. They're still waiting. It's been almost a year. They're waiting for their bar results. And I go, here we wait 6 to 9 months. I said, what's taking so long? She says, it's Kenya,
Right.
and so she's got a second internship, and which is voluntary, and they help them find jobs. She's working. She got really good internships for the Superior Court in Nairobi, and I think hopefully pretty soon she'll be getting a job and be self-sufficient and stuff like that.
We're gonna start.
My darling Maurice and your darling June,
and
you both have your golden ticket to heaven.
I hope so. We went to Kenya just before the pandemic, like 5 years ago, and so I met her, and yeah, we went about 5 years ago. Oh, I'm wearing my Kenya hat. I got
there we go.
my Kenya hat, yeah. And we went there, and we met. She arranged 2 parties for me, one in Nairobi, where she was living, and I met a bunch of people that had worked on different projects for me, film crews and stuff. And then when we went to Nakuru, where she's from, then there's this engineer guy, Ben, who's also turned out to be a great friend, a really great guy. He has a studio there, and he's singing on a bunch of stuff on the CD that I'm releasing. I met his family and a bunch of people from from that part of Kenya. So we had 2 parties, and so we got to meet them. It was really great.
Yeah.
This is extraordinary, isn't it, Dr. Adam? It's just so heartwarming.
And will she continue down the music as well as the law, or who knows?
Well, that's a great question. And as a matter of fact, she's singing a lead vocal on a song on the new CD, and that I already made a video for that. That's called My Land is Kenya. It's a song by Roger Whittaker, who is this real white bread guy. You might know who he is. And he wrote it, and he was raised in Kenya and lived in Kenya a long time. But his version of his song was just so milquetoast. And so I said, I like this song. I want to put the Kenya back in it. So I did my kind of an African version. She's singing the lead on it. Ben is doing a bunch of backgrounds. And then I do another song on the new CD that I wrote called Whisper to the Wind. And she sings a verse in Swahili, and then she does a verse in English. And so she's on 2 songs on this CD, and I said to her, I said, look, you're trying to get a job as a lawyer. I said, is this going to mess you up?
Mm.
You know, are they going to say, you know, you're a musician, what is this? And she claims that it's an enhancement, that
I
it
think
shows
so as well.
it shows roundness or
Yeah.
whatever, and you know, and so hopefully, because if they Google her, they're going to find it.
They're
So
gonna find it, but
Well, but Maurice,
yeah.
you know, what you're doing is you're giving her the opportunity to communicate through music. And as a lawyer, she's going to need that communication skill. And, you know, she may break out in song in court, but, you know,
yeah.
but
Well, I have another best friend. His name's Tom Lerner, and he's a doctor, but he's a great musician, and he went to Harvard Med School, you know, and I was talking to him about it just like a week ago, and he said he thinks that his music helped him get into Harvard Med School.
fantastic.
You know, and he volunteered to write a letter of recommendation for her because we're putting together a package for her. You know, she updated her resume, and then so I did another letter of recommendation. Tom volunteered to do one, and it's beautiful. And then someone that I put her together with, that she did ended up working for 2 or 3 years for. He wrote one, so she has a few nice letters of recommendation to go along with her resume.
Yeah, that's
So,
great.
Oh, that's so beautiful.
Just thinking about what you're saying there is that, you know, I think schools more and more now are looking for people to have a rounded experience, that they've not just gone, I've studied law and that's all I'm doing and I don't do anything else and I have no other interests. And they want people who have either, you know, lived some life or have things, if nothing else, I'm just thinking in, you know, mental health or psychology, people who actually have hobbies and interests that allow them to look after themselves when they're dealing with, you know, really difficult clients or whatever else. Yeah.
Yep. So
let me bring the conversation back to, you put the Kenya back into the song.
Yeah.
And there was excuse me, and there was a time that during the pandemic, a friend of mine, a very good friend in Palm Springs, called me and said, you know, I love your song, Love It Away, but I want to be able to dance to it.
Oh.
You know, I'm stuck in my house and I want to listen to music and dance. And so, so I contacted you, Maurice, and you changed the rhythm track on the original. Yeah. And updated it. You gave me, you know, the dance beat, you know.
It was fun. It was fun. And it went, you know, easier than it could have, you know. You know, just kind of fell into place. Good song, good performance, good vocal, you know.
I appreciate the synergy, because, you know, we have some sort, the three of us, you know, are on the same wavelength, and that's such a beautiful thing. You don't have to explain, you know.
Great. Yeah, that was a fun project.
I was going to ask Maurice to explain something though, because I do want to go back to his beginnings, but I do for our listeners, because our listeners are always really interested in the mechanics or what goes on behind the scenes. But can you lead us through some of what you do in terms of mixing and mastering and engineering? Like, what does that mean? Yeah.
Well, I'll try and synopsize a little bit, but I tell people, you know, I came to engineering. I was a musician first, you know. I'm the guy that bought a 4-track and said, I'm just gonna, you know, noodle and write some songs for myself, and then it became like a disease and grew and grew and grew and grew, you know. But so I tell people the best thing about my engineering is my saxophone playing, because I approach it like a musician. And so basically, you know, a lot of it's psychology, actually getting different personalities to work well together. And I say, and you know, producing is, you know, picking the right person for the job, you know. And another thing I say about producing and also directing in acting, I say, but let's just say producing, I say, you know, you're not really producing till stuff starts to go wrong. You know, because if you pick the right people, you just sit back and take all the glory, you know. But if something starts to go bad, you have to step in. Sometimes you have to be a jerk, but you have to do it in a nice way, or someone once said, I think it's Duke Ellington's son, Mercer Ellington, said, you have to trick the band into thinking they want to do what you want them to do. You know, that kind of stuff. So that's kind of what that is, you know, and then you just get all the stuff up on the get all the stuff on the board and just try and make it sound good together. You know, that's kind of the
Amen.
mixing process, like being a
I have
cook.
to say,
Yeah.
Dr. Adam, this guy is like the Ferrari on his board. You know, he's very, very quick to know what you know, balancing different volumes of different instruments and how the vocals should be by comparison and not distorted, or, you know, I mean, we played around a little bit, but you know, just to get that true sound and to set up the studio with the equipment so that you're not really manipulating, you know, too much. It's not perfect, but it's capturing a moment, you know, which gives you that feeling like you're there. And that's my short version. But technically, this guy, I mean, he does everything so fast. It's unbelievable.
Oh, thank you. I try, you know. So that's that. And then the mastering part is getting all this. Like now I'm going to release my 10-song CD. I've released 4 videos already, but now I have to, and just in the next 10 days, I'm going to be doing this, you know, because I've been recording over a year and a half, and I have to put all the songs, pick the order. We were working on the order last night, and line them up together, and then make sure that they all go smoothly from one to the other, adjusting the volumes and stuff like that, and bringing up the levels without toasting anything. And that's the mastering process. That's the last thing that happens before it becomes a CD or whatever. That's the mastering part. That's a quick explanation of mastering.
That's great. I you know, I think everyone's going to understand that. Fantastic. And you know, you were saying that you started off as a musician, as we've spoken about, and started off with the silver saxophone. So where did it all begin for you? If we go back there and sort of lead our way through.
Yeah, my oldest sister, who we just had a little family chat, me and my 4 sisters, a little Zoom chat, because they're all over the place. And so my oldest sister played piano. You know, she's 8 years older than me, and she was pretty good. And my dad bought her this piano, this 1923 Fisher piano. He bought it for her in 1960.
Yeah.
And that's the piano. It's still down. I left it down the old studio. I was thinking of bringing it up here because there's kind of a spot for it, but it's kind of like, don't really use it that much, and it would take up room. And we have so many good fake pianos these days. So,
but you've still got it at least. You've still got this 101-year-old piano.
Yeah, well, no one's going to be able to get it down those stairs, you know, over there. No.
The Laurel and Hardy moment.
Yeah, and the Laurel and Hardy stairs are only a couple blocks away in Silverlake. You knew that, Donna.
Oh, which one's that one?
Do you know that?
Keystone. No, is it?
What?
What's the name of the studio?
The Laurel and Hardy stairs are like 2 blocks away from my studio in Silverlake.
Oh, wow.
Where they filmed that.
Oh, wow. No, I did not know that. I knew that that like the what studio was it? I've forgotten now, but
Max Sennett.
Max. So the little, is it the Little Rascals?
Yeah, all that stuff.
That came down the hill where I used to stay, you know, up in Echo Park, and those hills are crazy. I think this Baxter Hill, and you used to fearlessly come up and get me. I mean, those hills, you reach the top, Dr. Adam, you reach the top, it makes San Francisco like a joyride. You get to the top, your car feels like you're at a 90-degree angle, and then you tip over into the bottom, or you feel like you're at you know, Six Flags or something like that. It's crazy. And Maurice would come and pick me up when I came into town and stayed with my daughter, and she lived up there. But that's where the soapbox derbies in the Little Rascals were filmed.
Were there.
Right.
Well, I remember the first time I went to pick up Donna, she said, get to such and such a street and make a right turn. So I come up to the stop sign and I look to the right and I don't see anything. There's nothing there. There's nothing there.
Sorry.
So I I stop the car, I get out of the car and look down just to make sure there's a street there. And okay, there's a street there. Okay, fine, I can do this.
That's pretty
It's
perfect.
true.
But
It's very true.
tell me, who would go out of their way? Here I am living in Hawaii, coming into Los Angeles to record, staying
Yeah.
with my daughter, and Maurice volunteers to pick me up because I'm not driving.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
and you know, normally I would have to take an Uber or something like that, but no, every single time.
Yeah.
And yeah, true
Yeah.
gentleman.
It was nice. And so listening to my sister play that piano made
Mm.
me want to do music. That's
Mm.
really the truth.
Mm.
And I
All
did start to
right.
take some piano lessons, but then I got into the, you know, where I played the trumpet, and I didn't really play the piano so much after that. I noodle a little bit now, but not much.
Mm.
That's how I got into it.
And then later on, there were other instruments throughout school.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
basically trumpet, then flute, then saxophones.
Mm.
Yeah. And I still, you know, I still play sax. I still play. We have a rehearsal tonight, and next Thursday night I'm playing with this guy named Little Willie G, who's
Mhm.
kind of an East LA rock Latin soul legend. I don't know what you want to call it, but a predecessor to Los Lobos. And
Oh, wow, yeah.
and so we're doing a nice gig a week from Sunday at kind of
Fantastic.
a cool club in Venice. So we're looking
Oh,
forward to
really?
that. So yeah. So we got to rehearse.
What's the name of the club?
It's called Venice West,
Mhm.
Okay.
and I think it's been there forever. You go in and they have so much cool like rock and roll, like Janis Joplin posters and
Mm.
stuff.
Oh, wow.
And they have a nice stage, good sound system, a nice green room, patio, and stuff. This is the third time we played there, and it's
Oh, my.
really
Mm.
nice. And
Oh,
then we're
gosh, I'll have to
playing,
keep that in mind.
yeah, and then we're playing another one in a couple months at the Canyon Club, the one
Oh,
out
really?
in not the one in the valley. There's another one in Montclair or something.
Mm. Mm.
And we
Okay.
played there before. We played there before too. I think that seats about 600 or something. It's like a Vegas
Wow.
supper club or something.
Wow.
Pretty big. And then we've played like the Greek Theater twice, and we played
Mm.
the Microsoft for 8,000 people, and we've
Mm.
played. We do some kind of smaller gigs like concerts in the park and things and clubs, and then we do some really big gigs. So
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it's a really excellent band. It's like 11-piece band, 5 horns, percussion, and so it's fun to play.
And this is something
Oh,
you're getting back into because you did this for a long time, the club scene.
No, it's the only gig I'm doing right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
I sit in. My friend has a jazz band. I sit in from time to time, but I just really don't have the energy to put my own band together. So working with Willie is perfect. You know, I go to the rehearsal, do the gig. I don't worry about any of the business, you know, and he's really great to us, and he takes care of us, and so it's perfect for me right now.
Yeah.
that's
Yeah. And
wonderful.
Yeah.
Donna, I'm sure you'd echo the importance of a good band and a good collaborators.
A good band is hard to find.
Yeah. It is.
No, I
It
got
is.
very, very lucky the one time that I could put a band together. Although I did ask Maurice, but it was inconvenient to go to San Diego, so I
That one,
understand.
right.
Mm.
But we did a couple gigs
Oh, at the Echo.
at the Echo, right.
That's right.
Those are fun. I think we
Yeah.
did that twice, I think.
The Elvis parties.
The Elvis party
Mm.
with the famous entrepreneur that just passed away.
Oh, Art Fine?
Art Fine.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yes.
that's
He recently
news to
passed
me.
away, I believe.
Mm.
Oh,
You
my.
know? Yeah.
Hmm.
And Art Fine used to produce a lot of the, like, Little Willie G comes from a group called the Midnighters,
Mm.
you know, and Art Fine used to produce a lot of their gigs and stuff.
Right.
Oh,
I think
what a lovely man. Oh.
Yeah. And
Mhm.
he came to a couple of our gigs too, actually, now that I
I
think about it.
see.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you, there's so many icons that are leaving their bodies, and
Yep.
letting the weight of their bodies go so that their souls can, just speak volumes all over the planet and the universe. So
Yeah.
his leaving the planet is just the beginning. You know?
Well, he left a lot of memories for people, a lot
Mm.
of, just a lot of memories for people.
Yeah, because who were your mentors in the early days? Because you went from high school to Berkeley, is that right?
Yeah, I went from high school to Berkeley College of Music. I had a couple of good teachers there.
Mm.
Sax teacher Jan Konopasek from Czechoslovakia.
Mm.
Phil Wilson, who was well known, he wrote some great arrangements for the Buddy Rich Orchestra.
Mm.
Was a great teacher there. Then I got the only grant I ever applied for and ever got was I applied for National Endowments for the Arts with Lou Tabakin,
Mm.
and I got that and I studied with him for a year, and I no.
That's all right.
No,
This is
no,
all
no,
part of
I'm
the
trying to
course
kill
with us.
this.
That's fine.
Uh, uh, Getting rid of that. I thought I was on airplane mode. Sorry.
Oh, all
Um,
good.
and so he was a mentor to me, and we're still friends and stuff. And actually, someone who I always idolized is a flute player named Hubert Laws, who was really pole winning, one of the most famous great guys, that we always used to listen to. And through one of my other very best friends, Nori Tani, who's a sax and flute player, he became friends with Hubert, recently in the last 5 years.
Mm.
And Hubert can't drive himself around at night, especially, So sometimes Nori, he calls Nori and says, "Hey, I'm gonna go see this concert. Can you take me?" And then when and then and then sometimes if Nori goes on tour in Japan and stuff, or he's not available, then Maurice will take you, So now sometimes
Wow.
I've gotten to go hang out with Hubert and go to some really cool concerts. And of course, we get like royal treatment, when we go and have a nice dinner. So I've gotten to be friends with him, which has been a real thrill, And he has, just great, firsthand knowledge of the whole history, and he's still doing some nice gigs, and I think he's almost 80, but he still plays great.
Yeah. How
So
amazing. And you were away so you moved away from your family to go to Berkeley, because Berkeley's in Boston.
No. I was right out of high school. So
yeah.
Right out of high school, I went from high school in Israel to Berkeley and Boston for a couple of years.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yep. And it was a great experience to go there.
Yeah. And then after that, it was being a musician, gigging around, or
just gigging, just playing in bands, playing in clubs, trying to record whenever I started recording my own groups at an early. I think I was 19 the first time I took my own band into the studio. 8-track situation, and that's really the way I learned to engineer, is taking my own bands into the studio or being hired by other people to arrange or produce.
Yeah.
I was always looking over the engineer's shoulder, always, just trying to figure out what they were doing and help out. Whereas at that time, back in those days, it was kind of like writers were writers, engineers were engineers, musicians were musicians, but I really was curious about that part, and like I said, I learned by looking over some good shoulders,
Yeah. And where did you record? Was there anywhere particularly sort of that people might know, or they just
just smaller studios around town? Yeah, there's so many, none none in particular, but just good engineers and like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And from there, where did we go from there? Not to get chronology, but like what was next?
Well, just I actually made my first album in 1982. 1982, yes, and and then from then I just used to do just a lot of jazz gigs around town, and then actually and then somewhere I was doing a lot of gigs, and then just private party gigs too, and then some recording sessions, and then in 1990-ish moved to Silverlake, and then I started doing this transition from making my living as a player to doing more of the engineering and working with people and doing that. And
what was Silver Lake like back then? Because it's quite well, yeah. I mean, tell us. I've never been. Donna's told me about it, but yeah, what is Silver Lake for people who haven't come across Silver Lake?
Silver Lake it's a bit bohemian, you know. There's a lot of creative people here. There's always been a lot of creative people here. But but now it's gentrified. I mean, we just got a Shake Shack down on Sunset. You know, it's just like, really, you know. And yeah, Donna's going, what, you know. And but we have a lot of other cool restaurants and stuff. But it's highly gentrified. But just a lot of creative people here. People, I mean, like my neighbors, okay? Like, I shouldn't really give too much information, but like my neighbors, one is like, you know, actress on major TV show. You know, one of my other neighbors is director of photography for major movies and videos. You know, down the street is a guy that did that's like one of Michael Jackson expert, like one of his choreographers, you know. Just right down the street, you know, and you know, it's kind of where I live. I live in kind of in the hills, so it's kind of nice. So there's those kind of people, you know. And then where the studio was a little more humble, you know, but even it's on the other side of Sunset. But even there, you know, it's you know, very creative people and success. And nowadays, because the rents are going up, they have to be somewhat successful, you know, to even live there, which is not
so
as
isn't it
as
more
here.
like an extension of Hollywood and the you know, the Hollywood crowd that works in the film industry and TV industry that moved further east. So, you know, I mean, I always lived on the west side, so you know, but I understood, and I also traveled on the other side, and I know the major studios, Warner Brothers and Disney and NBC Studios and Paramount and Universal, you know, they're all Universal. Everybody is on the east side.
There's a lot on the east side.
Yeah, so a lot of people, and then, you know, even a young artist like Billie Eilish is from Highland Park, I believe. And that's about as far east as you can go, right? And be within the LA County District or something.
Well, you can go to further east, like Boyle Heights and East LA, which is where the band I play in. They're more from there.
Okay.
You know? And so they say that's the real east side. You know, when hipsters talk about Silver Lake as being the east side, they're going like, no, we're the real east side, you know. And then Billie Eilish, when they were living with their parents, which is kind of, you know, behind me, kind of ish, no pun intended. And so they were living with their parents, and when I know that her brother, when he moved out, he moved kind of past my house into Los Feliz,
right?
You know, which is a little more posh than this. It's up the hills by Griffith Park and the observatory and all that stuff.
And the Greek theater.
But you know, in general, it's more expensive to live on the west side, I think, in general.
Well, the closer to the ocean, always.
Yeah, always, you know. But this is a great area, though. You know, it's really
well.
great.
You have views of the sunset. I can affirm that.
I do. Yeah. The whole studio is built around the view. I set it up today, so I made it dark, you know.
Yeah.
And I shut the windows and stuff, but the whole studio was designed. I knew exactly where I was going to sit. I marked it on the ground, and my cousin's the architect, and we're like, you know, just like, we actually mocked it up upstairs in our living room because our living room was basically the same size. And so we make tape markings on the wall, like where the window would be, and then sit and see, is this right? So this whole studio is like when I'm sitting engineering, you know, I can look out at the whole city, you know. So
That is so exciting. That is so exciting. And what an
spoiled, you know.
inspiration.
Yeah. It's
Oh,
really great.
the views vary from fog to these gorgeous mango tropical, you know,
Yeah.
sunsets that are
Yep.
just
Yeah.
mind-blowing. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
I can
again,
actually,
you're married to someone very special. And is June going to be participating in your albums?
she does occasionally, and she's on this one. I did a couple things with group vocals, and she's on those, you know. She hasn't really been wanted to do any solos, so she hasn't done any, you know. But she's singing. She did some stuff on this, and then
Can
of
you
course she's
share
my
a little bit of, I'm sorry. Can you share a
she's
little bit about her background?
she's kind of like she likes to keep a low profile, but I don't know why. But anyway, she's a Tony Award nominated, you know, actress.
Wow.
And right now she's doing a lot of actually dubbing for all these foreign TV shows. You know, she's doing a lot of that. As a matter of fact, that's where she's out to lunch with a director she's working with that likes her a lot. So
Lovely.
Right.
And so she keeps busy doing that, and also books on tape. Actually, we've been recording a bunch of books on tape.
Wow.
Or, you know, for Audible.
May I
Oh,
mention that when she was a child, she was on the electric company?
Yeah, she's on the Did you're in Australia, right?
Yes,
Adam?
yeah.
Did you get the electric company there?
We did get the electric company here, yeah.
You did?
Yeah.
Oh, she was Julie.
Now here comes the connection. There we go.
Yeah.
Oh, how cool.
Yeah.
So is that your connection, Donna, to the electric company, or have you got another friend that was on the electric company?
That is June.
Yes, there we go.
True.
It all connects now. Okay.
Yeah. And so that's that stuff. What I was gonna say, one other thing. Yeah, so we did a bunch of books for Audible and stuff, and that's been nice, you know.
That's so interesting. So she's reading stories that are written by other authors.
Yeah, hired to read them and turn them into books. Some of them were like 8 hours long. We've done up to 11-hour books.
Oh,
it's a chunk of work. Well, you read your own book into the thing, right?
Well, we've been doing that incrementally. But if I'm going to do it in one fell swoop, I should come to you.
Well, yeah, or I can tell you how to do it there, you know. But
all right.
but basically, we don't work more than 4 hours in a chunk.
Yeah,
because
that's
too much.
Yeah,
it's too much. So it's done over several days, you know.
Oh, cool. That sounds perfect.
Yeah.
And is that memoir or is that all sorts of things?
Is it what?
Is it memoir or is it all sorts of things that she reads, like fiction and
anything? Whatever they give her. Yeah. Different types of books, you know.
Yeah.
And they're all have been good books, you know. So so that's just another thing.
And she has a beautiful voice.
She does.
Yeah.
Yes, and she's done some on stage things too in the last year.
Wait a minute. Who did she co-star with in Pasadena?
Oh yeah, not Pasadena. At the East West Players, she did a 2-person show with Danny Glover.
That's true.
They did. It was just her and Danny. They did 5 shows a week for 5 weeks. Wow. Just her and Danny playing a long-term married interracial couple. And
well, please give her a long-distance hug from me, please.
I will.
She's probably happy to be back on the stage because I imagine there was quite a downtime for the last few years.
Yeah, she really prefers the occasional television thing and also doing voiceover stuff. You know, so it's everything's working out fine.
Yeah. How amazing.
Yeah.
And so
Yes,
you've spoken a little bit about some of the upcoming projects. Is there anything else you want to tell our listeners to look out for? That we'll put all the details out as your stuff comes out, but is there anything that you want to make people aware of?
Really just the new CD that I haven't picked the exact date, but I think it's going to be about 5 weeks from tomorrow, I think. And
what's
then
the name?
once
And it'll be
oh
your name
uh,
attached?
it's my name, Maurice Gainen, and the title that I'm pretty sure I'm sticking with is Hope Through Music.
Beautiful.
You know, and I searched it and no one else has used that title, so I think I'm going to grab that.
Amazing.
And then, you know, there's the 4 videos that are already out. I'm not sure if I'm going to make any more videos with it. I'm not sure. But then my goal would be, you know, by maybe a year from July, maybe, I'm not going to make myself stick to it, have enough material for another new CD. You know, that would kind of keep me on my 1 every 2 year kind of track, which is totally self-imposed. I can, you know, I can go off it if I want, but that's really my focus, is really, you know, and this space, you know, this new space, I've only been here since August. It's just so creative, you know, it just makes you want to, you know, be here and live up to the space, and
makes me want to be there.
Come up with some good stuff, you know, and you know, so that's really just to keep doing what I'm doing, because I just feel so lucky, you know, just kind of living the life, doing what I want to do.
That's really inspiring.
You know?
That's so inspiring.
It's so wonderful. Oh, Maurice, this has just been such a lovely visit, and
it's great.
we're so happy. Can we pose the question of what is your secret weapon?
Oh my gosh, my secret weapon, I think, is patience.
Oh, I love that.
That just came right out, but I've been told, you know, that I have a lot of patience, you know.
Oh, that's beautiful. Well, we have 2 doctors in the house, Dr. Adam and now Dr. Maurice. You have a lot of patience.
Yeah.
I'll be your number 1.
Yeah, I have one of my other best friends is actually a psychiatrist. He's retired now, but you know, former substance abuse specialist to the rich and famous and their families. And so there's plenty of work there, right? He made a very good living, and he tells me I'm one of the most level people that he knows. So
I believe it.
I take that as a compliment, you know.
Well, wait a minute. Absolutely. Before we say goodbye, I want you to give everyone a little bit of the tip that you do to stay in fit and in balance.
So well, I walk. I try to walk. Lately, my routine, I try to walk 3 to 4 miles. I do 2 days on, and then 1 day off. And then on the day off, I just started doing just like a half-hour exercise routine, like with some light weights and stuff like that. So that's, I was doing kind of long walks for a while, but I kind of ran out of time to do that. And it's after an hour, it's not doing me a whole lot of good, really. You know, so that's what I do, you know.
That's beautiful. And you start your day that way?
It depends, you know, like I walked this morning. I managed to walk this morning. It depends on the season, because what I like about when it stays light real late, then I can do it after dinner, you know, so it gives me more flexibility as to when I can do it. But this time I don't like to walk in the dark. So, you know, this time of year, pretty much I have to do it sometime during the day. And it just depends on my schedule, you know.
Well, inspiring me to get back out there and get to the gym and do something.
Well, you're giving me the definition of autonomy. And the most recent definition that I've heard is the right to be.
Okay.
The right to be. And you are choosing the life that you have wanted to live. And how beautiful.
Yeah. I consider myself extremely fortunate,
And
Yeah.
we are so fortunate to have had you on Love's a Secret
Oh.
Weapon today.
Oh, thank you. I'm so honored that you wanted
Many
to have me
blessings.
on. It's delightful chatting with both of you, Adam.
Thank you so
Donna.
much for
And
joining us.
Jared's
It's
back
been
there
fun.
somewhere.
Yes, he
Loren,
is.
So, yeah. So great. Really great.
Many blessings, and
Blessings
we'll
to you
wait.
guys. You
We'll
too.
wait to hear your music, and we'll definitely be incorporating little bits and pieces here and there, maybe even more.
Okay, great. Fantastic. Anytime.
Yes, love.